This week, the Commanders have a short week. Thursday night football versus the Green Bay Packers after beating the New York Giants in a convincing fashion last week at home. Now they travel to Titletown to try and improve to 2-0 in their first real test of the 2025 NFL season. Welcome into the Commanders Report Week 2 preview. I am your host, Jack Sperry. We are currently in the middle of a new subscriber battle with our frenemies here at the Packers Report, our Packers channel here at Chat Sports. Right now, we are currently losing this week, and the winner is going to be whoever adds the most new subscribers to their channel by the start of the game on Thursday night. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you want to help us beat the Packers Report and new viewers, we are counting on you guys. All right, all the real ones that have already subscribed to the channel, they can't help us out here. It has to be new blood, new subscribers here added to the channel this week. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already, if you want extensive Commanders coverage all throughout the 2025 NFL season. All right, so now let's get into this very fun matchup here on Thursday Night Football. We're definitely getting spoiled here with some of these primetime matchups. Got a couple really close games on Sunday and Monday Night Football in Week 1, and we start out with this one, man. Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders going up against Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, Josh Jacobs, Micah Parsons, and the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. This could be an NFC Championship game preview that we're looking at right here in Week 2 of the NFL season. Now, before we get into the Packers scheme and their roster, some injuries to keep an eye out for here. Nate Hobbs, their number one corner, did not play last week with a knee injury. On a short week, I kind of doubt that he plays. Aaron Banks left the game early, did not practice today with an ankle injury. Zach Tom had a hip injury. He left the game as well, did not practice today either. And same thing with Bo Melton, another corner, who's currently dealing with a shoulder injury. So if all these players are not there, losing two starting members of your offensive line is going to be tough for that Green Bay Packers front. So the Commanders' defensive front certainly needs to take advantage of that if those guys are not on the field. And if Nate Hobbs misses another week, that certainly leaves them vulnerable in the secondary. We can shift our focus here to Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers coaching staff. LaFleur, one of the best head coaches in the National Football League, in my opinion. All right, a 68-33 record. That is an excellent win-loss split there. Of course, he had Aaron Rodgers during that last kind of MVP stretch of his career, so that certainly helps. But he's also been very successful with Jordan Love as his starting quarterback as well. They run a modern Shanahan-style offense. He calls the plays himself. And then on defense, they've been much improved here over the last 2 years with Jeff Hafley, their new defensive play caller that they brought in last year. They run a Robert Saleh-inspired 4-2 kind of base nickel defense here where they play a lot of quarters, a lot of too high safety stuff, but they do mix in everything. They get kind of creative with the stunts they play up front, which is certainly one of the reasons why they wanted a guy like Micah Parsons, who is one of the best stuntmen in the National Football League. But you take a look at their offense here. Jordan Love is their quarterback. Up front, they got Rasheed Walker, who is their starting left tackle, at least for now. Jordan Morgan, I would expect to potentially get some time this week, maybe at guard or maybe at right tackle if Tom can't go. Sean Ryan is their right guard. They got Engleton Jenkins as a pretty darn good center. And then you got Aaron Banks. He's certainly going to be questionable as well heading into this one. So keep your eye on those two injury updates as we get closer to Thursday. But their skill position players, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, and Romeo Doubs, they really do base their offense out of 11 personnel. So you're going to see a lot of three receiver sets for the Green Bay Packers. And then Josh Jacobs is their running back with Tucker Kraft as a really underrated tight end in my opinion, man. He's a really big yak threat. They get creative with the way that they use him. So you got to keep your eye on Tucker Kraft this week. Then on defense, their defensive line, they go out in a four-man front. So you got Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons on the edges. I mean, that is a tough edge duo. It's going to be one of the tougher edge duos that the Washington Commanders face this season. Then they got Colby Wooden and Devontae Wyatt as their two interior players. Both of those guys, I think, are certainly not as good as their edge players. So if you're going to target somebody in the run game there, I would certainly target the middle of this defensive line and the middle of this Packers defense. Then also in relief, they have Lucas Van Ness. And what a player like Micah Parsons, who has the versatility that he has, allows you to do is you got Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness on either side of the line on third downs, and you can move Micah Parsons around. You can put him over the ball. You can do a bunch of different stuff with Micah, and I do expect, when they do put Parsons, Lucas Van Ness, and Rashawn Gary out there at the same time, the Commanders got to get the ball out fast because these guys are going to be coming after JD5. The off-ball linebackers, they usually only have 2 on the field at a given time, but they do rotate 3 guys. Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker are their starters, but Isaiah McDuffie does get in the mix as that third rotational off-ball linebacker. And then in the secondary, I'm kind of assuming Nate Hobbs is not going to play here. And if that's the case, Carrington Valentine will be their number 1 corner. That might be the worst number 1 corner in the National Football League as we sit here today. And then you got Keyshawn Nixon as another outside corner. I really like the safeties, though, here in Green Bay. Xavier McKinney is one of the best safeties in the league, period. Javon Bullard is their number 2 safety, but he usually plays in the box, or in the slot, I should say, as their nickel cornerback. And then in those nickel formations, really where this defense bases out of, Evan Williams is that next safety that comes in. So, keep your eye on Bullard playing in the slot. And then still to come here on the Commanders Report preview here for Week 2 Thursday Night Football versus the Green Bay Packers. I got my keys to victory versus the Packers. I got my scouting report on quarterback Jordan Love, and then I got my Week 2 score prediction. Am I going to pick the Commanders to win this week versus a very tough Green Bay Packers team? I'll let you guys know at the end of today's show, so make sure you guys stick around. But before we get into the rest of this week's preview, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Prize Picks. And you and I make decisions every single day. But on the Prize Picks app, which you can download for free on your phone right now, by the way, being right with those decisions can actually get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Football season is finally here, and you better believe I'll be getting my lineups in all football season long, whether it's professional football, college football, whatever the case may be. I'm going to be getting my Prize Picks lineups in. And guys, to get a Prize Picks lineup in, it's super simple to play. You just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks also puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks also offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. And a new feature from Prize Picks that I absolutely love is injury reboots. If your player leaves the game in the first half with an injury and doesn't return, Prize Picks will not count that as a loss. So here, I've got my Prize Picks projection for Thursday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers. I'm taking the more on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt rushing yards. I'm going to take the more on Jayden Daniels. I think that's passing yards there. And then we got the more on the touchdown for Josh Jacobs and the more for Travis Kelce receiving yards. So this is my projection for this week in the National Football League. So download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup with the Prize Picks app today. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, so now I got 10 keys to victory for the Commanders this week because it's going to be, a narrow path to toe because these are 2 very good football teams. My first one here is to pray Jordan Love is off his game because when Jordan Love is on, he is a bona fide star-level quarterback, all right? He can make any throw in the book. And last week versus Detroit, and that's like with Aiden Hutchinson on the field and all the talent that they have brought in and invested in there in Detroit, he completed over 70% of his passes for 188 yards and 2 tuds with no pick. So very, very efficient day for Jordan Love in week 1. When you look at Love's profile, man, he has the potential to be, a legitimate star quarterback one day, if not as early as this season. The arm talent is incredible. The playmaking instincts are awesome. He can throw off his back foot better than just about anybody in the National Football League today. He throws with really nice touch down the field and can layer footballs to the intermediate level of the field. He's a better mental processor than people give him credit for. Now, the cons on him, it's just general inconsistency. He doesn't have the best decision-making under pressure or in big moments. In the playoff games that he has lost, he's had some really bad interceptions. Just general accuracy. I thought last year on his film with the Packers, he was dealing with some injuries. There were some injuries in the wide receiver room and on the offensive line. So there's a lot of excuses for Jordan Love, but he just wasn't very accurate. In fact, I think he was probably the least accurate starting quarterback in the National Football League last year. And then another thing that I really don't like about his pocket footwork is that he's a bouncer, all right? He bounces in the pocket. His head is always moving, which makes it harder to be consistent with your accuracy. accuracy. I currently have him ranked as the 15th best quarterback in the National Football League, and it's just a question of which Jordan Love are we going to get in this game. Are we going to get the superstar Jordan Love that's playing awesome, like in that Cowboys playoff game a couple years ago, for example, or are we going to get the Jordan Love that played against the Eagles in that terrible playoff game last year? Like, which Jordan Love are we getting here? That's going to be a big question mark as to how good the Packers offense plays in this game. And then sticking with the defensive plan here for the Commanders, you got to win the line of scrimmage on defense. You can't let Josh Jacobs just run all over you. Now, with the injuries to guys like Zach Tom and Aaron Banks, if those guys don't play, that might make that job a little bit easier. But last week, the Commanders' defensive front looked awesome, all right? All the guys that they invested in over the last 2 years in free agency, Dorrance Armstrong, Dietrich Wise, Javon Kinlaw, they all played great. But they played against the terrible New York Giants offensive line with no Andrew Thomas and a quarterback in Russell Wilson that's terrible managing pressure. All right, this is going to be a lot different going up against Matt LaFleur's defense, going up against a legitimately good run game here, going up against a legitimately good offense here with the Green Bay Packers. And I definitely think that the run defense will be tested by Josh Jacobs for the Washington Commanders. And, for a team that really focused in on stopping the run this offseason, really honing in on how to stop Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs is going to be a good litmus test for the Washington Commanders' run defense here, because Josh Jacobs, in my opinion, is one of the best running backs in the National Football League. He's one of the more well-rounded and balanced backs as well. He can catch passes out of the backfield as well. Last week had 66 yards and a touchdown against Detroit. So we'll see what the Commanders' defense is able to do against that Packer run game on Thursday night. And then my kind of final defensive point in key to victory here this week is just to not get fooled by Matt LaFleur. Don't have coverage busts. Don't forget about Tucker Kraft on a play-action wheel concept or something like that. You make Jordan Love be methodical, pick you apart, and not make mistakes. That's what the kind of game plan is for the Washington Commanders. And if you can put pressure on Love, you can stop their run game. You can force Jordan Love to, put a little pressure on him to kind of carry that offense in this game. That's when the Commanders' defense can certainly eat. Then we move over to the offensive side of the ball here. And my first point here, and the first point of emphasis for the Commanders should be to limit the pass rush for the Green Bay Packers. That is clearly the strength of this team with Micah Parsons, with Lucas Van Ness, and of course Rashawn Gary. And you better believe they're going to be lining up Micah Parsons against the rookie here in Washington, Josh Connerly Jr., who did give up some pressures last week. It was another good pass rush there in New York with Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter. Those guys can play, all right? But he did allow some pressures. I didn't think that his technique on film was all that great. So I just don't think you can leave him one-on-one with Micah Parsons, man. He's just going to absolutely dominate. So you got to give JCJ a little bit of help, chipping with the running back, chipping with tight ends, putting John Bates out there to help him, straight up double teaming Micah Parsons when he lines up over Josh Connerly Jr. You just got to help him out. On the other side with Rashawn Gary or Lucas Van Ness, I actually feel pretty good about Laramie Tunsil's ability to handle those guys. He's one of the best pass-protecting left tackles in football. The weakness that I'm concerned about this week is Josh Connerly Jr., so you got to give him as much help as you can. And then in terms of attacking this defense here and kind of limiting the impact that this pass rush can have on the football game, I think you got to run the football effectively, all right? Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt or Bill Krosky-Merritt, whatever you want to call him, he's going to have to play a really nice game here, all right? Austin Eckler dealing with a little bit of an injury this week. It's looking like he'll probably play on Thursday night, but I do expect Bill to lead in carries yet again. He did last week with 10. I expect him to get even more this week after a really strong debut against the Giants, and I would run the ball in between the tackles. I'm not running it towards Micah Parsons. I'm not running it towards Rashawn Gary, all right? Those guys are good run defenders, okay? The weakness in this Packers defense is in the middle, all right? And I know they've got a couple of decent inside linebackers, but I want to attack the weakness of that defensive line where we can get some push, and I want Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt to run tough in this football game and move the pile. Then we get to some other ways that you guys, that the Commanders can limit Micah Parsons' impact here is just to get the ball out fast, all right? Jayden Daniels has done an incredible job of this. He was top 5 in the league last year in average time to throw. For a rookie, I think that really points out his mental processing chops, and I think that also shows Cliff Kingsbury does a great job getting the ball out of Jayden Daniels' hands. So, if you get the ball out within the first 2 seconds, you give him easy reads to get the ball out quickly, whether that's quick game, whether that's screens, whether that's anything else that you guys want to run there, quick deep shots there on a 3-step drop, just get the ball out of your hands. If you get the ball out of your hands quickly, that's going to limit the kind of impact that Micah Parsons in this pass rush can have. So that's got to be a big key to victory in this ball game. And then a good way to do that is to give the ball to Deebo, whether that's on jet sweeps, whether that's on the kind of creative jet and orbit motion that we saw from Cliff Kingsbury and Deebo Samuel last week versus the Giants. All right, I've been super impressed with the way Cliff Kingsbury is finding creative ways to get Deebo Samuel the ball in his hands with blockers in front of him. That play where he had the touchdown, he was coming across the formation on a jet sweep motion, and then he came across behind the quarterback on an orbit motion. They hand it to him with a bunch of blockers in front of him, and then Deebo does the rest. You got to absolutely pound the rock in this football game and kind of take advantage of Green Bay's lackluster run defense in this game, in my opinion. And then, of course, you can utilize Deebo in the screen game on shallow crosses, get the ball to him in space, and allow him to be an extension of the Commanders' run game. And then I think a matchup that this team can really take advantage of this week, guys, is Terry McLaurin versus whoever the hell they want to put on him in the cornerback room here in Green Bay. Nobody can touch Terry McLaurin. There's going to be opportunities to throw him some deep balls. Now, like I said, I want to get the ball out fast, so it's got to be kind of an alert kind of situation. It's going to have to be his first it's going to have to be Jayden's first read kind of situation, but there's going to be certain looks that Green Bay gives you that are going to give Terry McLaurin some opportunities for some deep passes, and I think this is an excellent opportunity for Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin to get on the same page. Last week, he only had 4 targets on the day for 2 catches and 27 yards. Jayden Daniels missed him on an open go route. Those things can't happen in this football game in particular because of the caliber of team that you're playing here in Green Bay. Then some just overall general things here for the Commanders that they need to do in order to come away with a victory this week. Number 1, you got to play cleaner. You had 12 penalties versus the New York Giants, and just ask the Chicago Bears that just played on Monday Night Football. Having 12 penalties is usually a recipe for disaster. And frankly, the Commanders are, they let the New York Giants stay in that football game well into the fourth quarter when it should have been a blowout. All right, the Commanders need to play cleaner. They need to stay ahead of the sticks, and that's going to be a big part of this week's game plan, I think, on a short week. Then you get to my final key to victory here for this week, guys, which is to make the play late. If it's close late, and I do expect it to be close late, Jayden Daniels needs to outduel Jordan Love, okay? And we've seen Jayden Daniels do this time and time and time again. We saw it versus Caleb Williams and the Bears last year in the Hail Mary game. We saw it where he almost led the team back versus the Cowboys in the first game last year. He had a bunch of game-winning drives. We saw it against the Eagles last year in the game that the Commanders won. We saw it in the Bengals game on Monday Night Football last year. That was kind of Jayden Daniels' coming out party. All right, this could be Jayden's coming out party for the 2025 season here. And if it's close and it's within a touchdown, and if there's a drive that needs to happen here to go out and get a win, I have every confidence in Jayden Daniels to deliver that drive. We've seen it time and time and time again. He was arguably the most clutch quarterback in the NFL last year as a rookie. We haven't seen Jayden operate in that kind of game on the line situation, at least not yet here this season. I have a feeling that we might see him in that kind of situation on Thursday, and I can't wait to see how he responds. All right, so my final score prediction here, guys. I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders to win this game. Now, I think it could go either way. This is about as much of a toss-up game, I think, as you can get. I really like these two football teams, and I think that these two teams could even meet in the playoffs, maybe even in the NFC Championship game this year. But I think if it's going to be close, I'm going to go with Jayden Daniels and his ability to perform in the clutch over Jordan Love, who tends to kind of make some mistakes when the game gets tight. All right, so I trust Jayden more than I trust Jordan in those kind of clutch situations. So I will go with Washington to get a big statement victory over the Green Bay Packers in Titletown. So it's your turn. Let me know down there in the comment section. Predict the score of Packers versus Commanders down there in the comment section. I'm taking the Commanders this week. I believe in this team. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. And of course, we'll be live on Thursday night for this matchup. If you guys want to join us for our live watch party for Thursday Night Football, it all starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, an hour and 15 minutes ahead of kickoff there in Lambeau. So if you want to join us, we're going to be doing raffle giveaways. We're going to be doing a bunch of super chat promotions. It's going to be a really fun time as we continue to celebrate the beginning of this new season for the Washington Commanders. And, of course, make sure you click that subscribe button, because if you like these in-depth previews, guys, we give you guys these kinds of videos every single week for every single Commanders game. We also go live for just about every single Commanders game, as well with our live watch parties, and then we have our post-game reaction shows after every single Commanders game as well. So if you guys want pre, during, and post-game coverage for every single Commanders game this year, this is where you can find it for free. Make sure you click that subscribe button and join the Commanders Report family today.